We're going to do it.
We'll do it again.
Round two. We know what we're doing now. It's been a while. All the things. Welcome back to the Ann Lane Podcast. This is your host, Lane, and your co-host here,
Kyle Buxton.
And
What's
our
up,
special
y'all?
guest today, Alex.
Hi.
Folks. Not Free Oaks.
Not Free
I'm
Oaks.
sorry. I'm a full transparency. We just did about 5 minutes of podcasting and then had to hit pause because we didn't push record. But like
happens.
we said, no cuts ever made. It's all organic. It's all real. We kind of covered some topics. We might retouch on them for y'all. Hi. I miss y'all. Hopefully everything's great for y'all. I know the world is shit right now, and we're just trying to make the best of it. I don't know where to start this because we just had to hit stop and then record again. But how about some gunshots? This is
not the gunshot.
Yeah, this is for all the politicians making stupid decisions for stupid people.
We're going to end up on a list, I promise.
The list.
Sorry, FBI.
All right, I might have to edit those out, but welcome back to the Ann Lane Podcast. Again, it is what it is. Yeah, we're here. Some of us are queer. We're all happy. It's Pride Month.
Happy Pride, y'all.
Happy special episode today. We're not trying to pander. We're just trying to be inclusive. We're trying to be understanding. And I want people in my life that are close to me, friends with me, and good enough to where I see them out on the streets taking pictures and can ask a favor to take a picture of me.
Yeah. Specific.
Yeah, absolutely. Special round of applause, a personal round of applause for me. To Alex, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Glad to have
I'm
you.
honored.
Yeah. First guest we've had in a minute. First episode we've had in a minute. It's been a while. It's been a journey. Like I said, we're on the audio adventure. We're restarting that statement. Life kind of caught up with me. June's supposed to be Pride Month. It's supposed to be prideful, happy, good vibes, and all this stuff. And it's been a fight. It's been a fight for a lot of people. It's been a fight for myself personally, and it's been a fight for the masses against the political machine that we have going on right now.
We've had a lot happen this month.
Yeah. Myself, I've dealt with a lot of just kind of a checkup, how we are, how we doing, and stuff like that.
It's important to check on your friends too, man.
Yeah,
You get so
everybody's
busy
mental
with
health.
things, and you forget to check on your friends.
It's not mental health month anymore, but it's always mental health month here on the couch.
Every month should be mental health month.
Every day should be, are you okay? If not, what are the issues? Let's address them. Let's figure out what's going on. And then from there, we'll continue on, grow, learn, live, and proceed with life. You know what I mean?
And sometimes it's okay to not be okay. You know, you can't always be happy all the time.
I am the king of coming on here and saying my problems. That's kind of what I like about the podcast. It's full transparency. It's like, look, I'm dealing with this. I know y'all dealing with some stuff. Hopefully we find some kind of conversation, maybe in the comments or something like that. And we kind of get to talking on, answers to the problems. And we got a lot of problems, and we'll kind of get into a lot of those. Maybe we'll find some answers. We'll try not to speak on women's bodies too much, but I think it's important that women know they do have some allies out here that are caring, are willing to adjust. And I don't know, time for changes and shit like that. And we'll kind of get into a lot of that. I've done a lot of talking. I've dealt with a lot of personal issues over these last month that we've kind of been away. Like I said, lots of mental stuff, imposter syndrome, life got out of hand, financial issues, all the things, man. And it's just, I'm happy to be back here. We're sitting down, we're recording. I got work in 2 hours, but that's okay. We'll see where we can get from there.
This is your first job, man.
This is
this is the primary.
This is, sure. But Kyle's here, man. We'll get to Kyle in a second. More importantly, our special guest, Alex Folk.
Thank you.
Folks? Folks, not
yes.
See, I want to say free you.
Yeah, but where did free you come from?
There's no R in
I
there.
am dyslexic. No, in all seriousness, I'm dyslexic. Probably BPD, suffering, ADD, not ADHD.
All the letters,
all the problems,
acronyms.
Yeah. See, okay, here we go from there. Right into a topic. We'll kind of jump back away from this, but the letters. Why is the letters community, when people say that, is that offensive? Because I like that term.
The letters community?
Yeah.
Is that in terms of all letters, all acronyms, or just people with different mental disorders?
No, it kind of comes from the LGBTQ plus community because every year they say
it's a new letter.
It's a new letter, but what I really think it is a community that wants to be all inclusive and take everyone in. And I don't know. This is again me speaking from the outside. It's it's hard because one person can never answer these questions. Yeah. It's kind of the community as a general decides what they do accept and what they don't accept. And there's always more letters. And I don't know if it's the public just learning more of those letters, learning more of the alphabet, or if it's the community, again, accepting more and more people in.
I think it's more of that because it kind of got stronger. Like the acronyms just keeps getting longer. And then I think the plus, and it's just kind of to add everybody else that isn't in that acronym. You know what I mean?
It reflects the inclusivity of it all because sexuality is fluid. It's always changing. So why not add letters as you come to learn more about people and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I like that. Well. I like that. Okay, so letters community. Is that offensive? I like the term because it rolls off the tongue and it sounds good, but I also know that some people take very much offense to it. So I don't know.
To me, it depends on who's saying it and the inflection. It could be kind of like in term of endearment, but if it's coming from somebody who doesn't mean well and it's like demeaning, I could say that's kind of like
that's almost positive. Anything. It's just more how you say things than what you're actually saying.
Yeah, it's behind the words is the meaning.
Yeah. It's is it the person or is it the meaning behind the words, or is it? I mean, the intention behind the words.
The intention. If you're saying, "Oh, it's the letters community," to kind of like jab at somebody, or you're just being light and saying, "Oh, the letters community," it really depends on like who's saying it and what they're trying to get out of you. What?
Because you can definitely say it sarcastically in like meaning it.
Well, I hate to break it to everyone, but everyone's part of some kind of letter community unless you're just like by yourself. I mean, you've got FFA, like the Future Farmers of America. You've got all these. What are you laughing at?
It's just like a random thing.
I mean, like you've got all these other like associations that have like PBS and all these other things where everything's abbreviated, everything's acronyms, and guess what? We all got letters in our names, right?
Yeah.
And some people
building
have
box.
Yeah, some people have numbers. Like
every single word in the entire like language is just 26 letters. They're formed different ways,
and that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's actually really crazy. Anyway, Alex. Special guest today. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are as a person, who you are as a man, who you are as a walking bag of organs.
As a walking meat sack.
Yeah.
My name is Alex.
Yeah.
Alexander is the full name, but I think Alex is just simpler. It's more fitting. I'm a photographer. I work at a news channel. I'm a photographer there as well, but when I'm not there, I do more photography.
So did it started as a hobby before you kind of drifted it into making it a career?
Oh, definitely. Filmmaking is more of like the passion, but this is kind of like an adjacent passion. So until like that, I get the resources to do that. This is definitely another passion that it's close to. So that's cool. I was doing that before work, and then the job was looking for a photographer, and I was like, hey, I can do that kind of thing. And then they hired me,
That's awesome. So like, do you do like the filming, or do you more just like taking photos for it, or
they call it photographer, but really you are a videographer. It's hand in hand. So the job position is photographer, but really I'm going out shooting videos, driving all over Lafayette and the nearby areas, shooting packages and stuff. I recently did one on this Zydeco singer and musician named Clifton Chenier.
Okay.
They had like a little celebration about his life. It's his 100th birthday, 100 year of life. He's dead now, but like he would have been 100, and they were doing a celebration of his life. And I went and shot that at, I think Opelousas. Yeah. Cool. You just shoot a bunch of B-roll and you put sound with it and you edit it together and you upload it.
So like your film is like what they show right before they're actually showing the, like in between shots kind of?
Yeah. So the anchor will like introduce it, and then they'll like go to like what you shot, and sometimes they'll like voice over and talk about it, or they'll just show everything that you edited together with the natural sound you put in. That's what I did yesterday. That's the most recent thing I could.
So lots of B-roll,
B-roll,
and that's the thing that like people.
What is B-roll? I don't even know what that is.
So A-roll. I mean, Alex, you might be able to speak more to it. This is more your thing. So A-roll is kind of what we're doing right now. I don't know what it's there you go. See, the primary thing, B-roll, is all the sexy ass shots you see. Like, let's say you're looking at an unboxing of something, all the close-ups and like kind of like the background shots. It's almost like the visual format or the visual representation of background music. It's the things that are in there while conversations being had, discussions are being had, but they don't necessarily want to focus on the person that's saying those things.
You could do without the B-roll, but the B-roll is supplementary. It definitely adds.
Yeah, it's like the sexy shots, the close-ups, the backgrounds, the all the things in the middle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That is B-roll.
B-roll. And is there C-roll?
we haven't confirmed the existence of a Charlie roll, but we can confirm there is an Alpha roll and a Bravo roll.
Okay.
We don't know anything about a Charlie roll yet.
Yeah. See, what about a Tootsie Roll?
A sushi roll.
Unconfirmed.
But yeah, anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to have you on here. You're a man that's in the streets. You're filming in the streets. Like I said, you're doing your photography in the streets. You're touching a lot of Lafayette. You're putting your eye on a lot of Lafayette, and you're kind of sharing those stories. Now, I don't know if you said what agency you work for, a local news agency. Will we say that?
Yeah, KATC. Yeah,
okay,
that's fine.
You'll say that. Okay, you'll go out there on a limb. The way I met you, and actually me and Kyle both met you the same way. We worked together at a very luxurious restaurant.
Fine dining
Called Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And things didn't work out well for you gentlemen.
No.
We both moved on to better things.
Yeah, we'll grateful for my opportunity there.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. I like the way you
learner outlook.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, y'all still here, and we're here. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to have you on the podcast. Like I said, it is Pride Month. Nothing to really be proud of this month. I wanted to have a man from the community that is outspoken, living and learning, going through life. It's always interesting to hear just different people's takes on life, different people's opinions, and different people's outlook, I guess, too. Mm-hmm. Main thing why I thought should be perfect. I'm going to put you on blast. You are a nerd.
Yes.
We are big nerds. It's all nerds
on the podcast.
Yeah, this is a nerds only podcast.
But it's like the cool nerds, you know? We're not sitting in our house and what are we doing? Like cosplaying like Star Wars. We might
just
be
playing 20 hours of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. I mean, we do some of that shit, but we also out here, we also fuck, and we also touching the streets and having parties and shit like that, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'll practice an abstinence and shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to have someone, like I said, from the community that's able to share some, because at the end of the day, you're a man, you're just a normal dude, and you have some of the same likes that we do. And it's so cool to me that, like, because I feel like that's a part of the community that's also, is that term like, I don't, what do you think about that term? The community.
The community.
I come from, let me state from, I come from a background of, I guess, older generation gays, like older millennials. Like lots of people in my family are gay. It just doesn't matter if they're women or men. I have quite a bit. And they are from, most of them are from Abbeville. So they're kind of like the old school, like hardened gays that like you've heard like Dave Chappelle and stuff talk about, where like they really had a lot of, there's always a fight, right? There's always a fight that's going on, but their fights were a lot more in their face and stuff like that, where it's like people would see them on the streets and like say like crazy shit to them. Like,
people were a lot more aggressive towards the community like back then, because it was still more nuanced. Like now you have more of a positive outlook because it's more inclusive. Right. You have a larger community, so it's not as, like people always say, it's like it's 2022. It's more inclusive. It's not as people being against that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I feel like some like backhanded shadiness like towards like people in the community now, instead of just
everything's just on social media too.
Yeah. It's also the people who are against it. It hasn't gone away. They're just more quiet about it. Yeah. Like if you talk to them, they'll definitely let you, these people who don't like it, they'll definitely let you know if you talk to them. But mostly they just keep to themselves.
Right.
Mostly.
Yeah. Hopefully that's like, in theory, that's what everyone should do. If you don't like something, just keep it to yourself if it's hurtful. But kind of back to the topic, that term community is what I picked up from hanging around them in their community, where, like I said, they would have to get in fights, do all kind of shit, like be like really tough, like people. And being in the South Louisiana, just, I mean, people don't like that shit, you know. We're kind of a worldwide culture now, especially the United States. We have with social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, everyone kind of gets to see everyone. But I mean, you take it back 20 years ago and you didn't get to see everyone. You saw whatever the news showed you, which I'm sure you could speak a lot to that. But to put the nail in a coffin, I guess, is that an acceptable term? Do you find as a representative, or I'm putting you as a representative for
just the phrase community?
Yeah, the community.
I'm still learning a lot about the community myself. I'm more of like, I'm not like at like in the center of it. I'm like, I see it as like rings and like layers, right? I'm kind of like the people at the center. They're like at these like things doing more, and like I feel like I could be doing more, but like I'm there. I'm just kind of like on the outer layers. I don't see it as a I think it's a positive thing to refer to it as a community. You know, we're all in this together, but I find a lot of the conflict now comes from within the community. There's a lot of like cliques, a lot of division within.
Yeah.
Maybe the fight isn't as external as it was a few years ago, decades ago. Now it's more internal. We fight each other a lot. We say ugly things to each other. That sort of thing.
Is that fueled by jealousy and purely the lack of, how do I put this? There's not much of a selection of people in the area that are part of that community. So is it a lot of jealousy and stuff like that? Or is it just different ideologies and different outviews on life and stuff like that? Because in the South, I know lots of conservative gays and I know lots of absolutely very like progressive gays. So you've kind of got all kind of different like outlooks on people and stuff like that. What is like
what is the strife?
What's the beef? Yeah. What's the strife?
Honestly, a lot of it in like the community, like your looks are kind of like the currency. Your age, your looks, your body is kind of the currency. And if you don't have a certain look, if you aren't a certain age, you don't fit into certain sub communities within the community.
Because I know there's all kind of labels. You've got twinks, you've got bears, you've got
otters,
all this shit.
It's tribalistic. It's so tribalistic.
And it's like one community or one part of one, I guess you call it ring.
Yeah, I see it as like rings.
You sit.
Yeah, like it's like a bunch of like kind of like orbit, like, you know, you're on different planets within the same, you know.
Yeah, okay, so you've got these different rings of different people, and I mean, different rings interact with different other rings, and it's interesting to me because like I'm kind of friends with. And I'm friends with anybody that I can see and I can have a conversation with in the street. And if you're not my friend, you're an acquaintance. And if I don't like you and you've caused like me issues or other people I know issues, then you're probably not an acquaintance and I'm not a friend and not really going to speak to you. But through those conversations and stuff like this, I've just realized that a lot of my friends in set rings of the community do know each other. And then there's a bunch of outliers that don't. And it's very interesting. I don't know if it, again, like what you said, has to do with age more than anything, or it has to do more with your social status. It's so
There's another thing, too, that I've realized talking to, like, I work with a few people in the community, and like it seems like everybody.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I feel like everybody knows each other in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like it's also not that big. It's still Lafayette.
Yeah.
Like, is that true?
Yeah. So it's kind of I hate to say cliche, but you know, like you always see it. It's like, oh, like everybody in the gay community, LGBT community knows everybody. Like everybody's dated everybody, like this person knows their ex and this and that. They'll meet somebody and their friend is like, oh yeah, I dated them. It's a very small community and it just comes with the territory of everybody being in each other's business. And some people just don't like each other and they'll butt heads. But it happens in small little communities.
I mean, that's happened with me, like as a person that's kind of like been out there and dated like not a bunch of people, but a number amount of people just as a young man figuring out what do I like as a person, who do I like as a person, and who I am, you know, as a person. Through that, I've realized that a lot of people I've dated have dated other people I know. And when I was a lot younger, when I was in my earlier 20s, I'm 26 now, so I'm kind of towards the tail end. I'm almost 27. That's crazy to think about.
I didn't know I was older than you.
You're older than me?
Yeah, older than both of us.
20, yeah, I'm the ancient one here.
How old are you?
27. Was born in 95.
I was born in 95 too.
Yeah,
my birthday's in July.
You're coming up there, man.
Yeah, it's my season. It's cancer season. Hold on.
Yay.
Shout out to all the cancers. I fucking love y'all. Y'all the people I get along with the most. And y'all, whoever's in love with y'all, I'm sorry for them because we're headaches. We're passion-driven people that, you know, hyperfixate on things that make us happy. But that's just anyone.
It takes all kinds.
Yeah. It takes all kinds of people to build the village or whatever bullshit.
To raise a village. No, it takes the village, whatever.
Yeah.
It's part of the community.
Yeah. So as a man that's kind of been out here, as a person, whatever, and I've dated a bunch of people, and I've realized that a lot of the people I've dated have dated other people. So in my younger years, I would run into those other people and like be really mad about it and stuff like that and be like, I don't want to talk to you. Like you've been inside this woman I'm talking to or whatever.
But it's like at the end of the day, what did they do to you?
Nothing. You know? Exactly. And it kind of comes down to the same point of what you're having about the community, where it's like Lafayette is so small. There's only about a couple of hundred of us out here in this age range that's going out, meeting each other and stuff like that. And what I really realize is that I see these other guys now and I'm like, man, like you just have the same taste in women as me. Like it's going to happen again probably. And the women must have the same taste as the other women, I guess, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's human nature to have those tastes. You know, you can't fault somebody for liking like what they like or being drawn to what they're drawn to.
Yeah. I like tiny women with colorful hair and issues. I mean, it is what it is. And lots of other people like that same type. I like a connection, and I've got a lot of issues myself. And, in my emo past, that's what I looked up to. All the suicide girls and shit like that. So now I'm older. I can date suicide girls. And
we're just a bunch of imperfect meat sacks walking around.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the artistic, eclectic, crazy motherfuckers.
Gotta have a little crazy.
Yeah,
I get it.
Just a little bit.
So it's kind of the same problems, is what you're saying.
Imagine that ring, like that you're talking about, being even smaller because it's like only men like dating other men. Like it's not of the opposite sex. The community is just so small.
Yeah.
So you date somebody, and everybody has a history, but it's just everybody knows everybody. That history is much more tangible. Like you could like be at a bar with a friend and you like see somebody and your friend could be like, oh yeah, I've dated them. I know everything about them. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. I had this experience. It's much more smaller and much more intimate, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
In the community.
I kind of like that, but also don't, because as soon as you have some form of strife, it's like a war. I feel like you have to pick a side.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't kind of be independent of those sides, because then you're just
not picking a side is picking a side is what it's.
And I hate that, but that's Lafayette.
Yeah.
That's any small community,
It's almost like high school cliques where like some groups don't talk to other groups, and like there's like some overlap with other groups, but you don't talk to these people, but they talk,
Yeah. And then you date the wrong person, and then
other people look at you.
Yeah. Then you're friends with everyone, and then they kind of like things end on a bad note. Then everyone hates you. And it's just,
it's like, what did I do?
Nothing. I just existed and tried to live and learn as a man, and, all these things. I know kind of, I'm trying to see where exactly I wanted to take this, but it's like, this is interesting because we had so many topics of shit going on that like I want to talk about, all the companies pushing all the pride shit. Like, look at me with my rainbow flag. We care. We do all this stuff that happens every year. What I did notice is they kind of did that less this year.
Yeah.
I think because they got so much shit for it.
They get a lot of flack for it.
Yeah.
In recent times.
I mean, it's basically turned into like a Hallmark holiday. And we've kind of had this discussion again, or in the past, where it's like, your minority doesn't matter until they realize that it's profitable. And then once your profitability comes through, then they pander to you.
There's nothing like being a gay man and like walking at Target and seeing like you're in July, you're walking at Target and you see all the pride stuff in clearance bins, and it's like, man, that feels great. I mean, yeah, I'll buy it. It's cheaper now, but like, it's not a good feeling.
I'll buy the fucking rainbow cups.
I have rainbow gym shorts. Target. I mean, all these other companies that do it. I mean, they're just, I guess they're trying to get that bag, but using a community for it, like to get to that, it doesn't seem like right to me. Like every month they should always have like these displays and things, but there is a part of their customer base that doesn't like it. And so because of that, they're going to want to be inclusive and include these other people who don't like the LGBT community. So
it's like a mask of inclusivity that they have.
Yes.
Like it's like a false premise, basically.
Yes,
and
exactly.
The issue is like, okay, these are businesses. They can do whatever they want. We don't have to support these businesses. But I get, at the end of the day, it's a bottom line. This isn't truly their beliefs, I don't feel like. Because I feel like it's just a way to make money. Because if it's my business, Target, like I said, I wouldn't, and I don't know if this is fucked up or not, but I feel like I wouldn't try and pander to anyone. I'd be like, look, this is the things we stand for. This is the things we believe in. These products, if you're interested in them and there's a market for these, they will always be available.
Yeah.
All these things, whatever you need.
Not seasonal.
Yeah, not seasonal, because it's not your sexual orientation isn't going with the seasons.
Exactly.
It's not like watermelon in the summer. It's like, no, I'm gay all the time, or I'm straight all the time, or I'm all this all the time.
You're not extra gay in June and then it just kind of like you crank it down in July or August. It's always there.
So this raises an interesting point, because like you have these companies that are pushing that and wanting to sell these products and doing whatever. But then you, on the other hand, you also have these companies that don't do that.
Like Chick-fil-A.
And it's like Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby. They're not going to have those things. Should they get more or less flack for not having them at all versus only having them in, June?
That's the conundrum, isn't it? You're either doing too much or you're not doing enough. I noticed that Chick-fil-A didn't like change their profile picture like everybody else. And I was like, well, at least they're not pretending.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're very sound on their morals. Like, hey, kind of like, is it Hobby Lobby and then with Michael's?
I think Michael's.
They're all are Marcel's or Mardell's or whatever.
One of those craft stores.
Yeah, one of the craft stores. And it's crazy because like that's your clientele. Like
crafters,
the most crafty people, the most artistic people are often people with lots of troubled past or lots of people trying to find themselves. And who is that? That's the community. That's the queer community, where people want to express themselves with custom creations because they don't feel like, and this is me speaking on the community again, so I'm sorry if I'm saying things wrong, but they don't feel like they necessarily have the items that they want. They're like, they might want a custom shirt that they can't get, themselves. They might want a custom necklace, a custom painting that they can't really go out because they aren't and buy because their art tastes necessarily aren't being catered to. And I mean, this is everyone, but I feel like the queer community is a very creative community that likes to express themselves. That's why people come. That's not what the rainbow flag's about, but that's why I feel like people like it. It's very colorful. It's very inclusive. It's eye-catching.
It's all ranges of the colors.
It's flashing, right? And where do you go to get that stuff? Craft stores to make your own items. And then they just go out straight and say, hey, we don't like y'all.
Yeah, there's only so much live, laugh, and love stuff you can get at Hobby Lobby when you're like, oh man, maybe I should just go somewhere else. There are other smaller mom and pop shops, craft stores who like you can support, who do support your community. So don't just stay in your comfort zone and go to a Hobby Lobby. Feel free to go and ask for somebody in your community who owns a business, who is willing to put out a product that caters to you. Yeah,
going back to Target, what I did notice this year is that they had... I think they tried to find a loophole this year. They had put like displays, their little rainbow displays, and they were said for the community, by the community. So they tried to hire all community creators to do that stuff, but a lot of their shit was really lazy. They were like, all right, we're going to put out these simple cups that look just like this, except we're going to do an orange one, a blue one, a green one, a red one, and we're going to put it together, and now it's a gay cup. And here, this is what our community
take them apart.
So it's like stuff they already had, basically.
They're repurposing their old product to make it gay.
Honestly, that's kind of genius.
I guess so.
Bastards.
And we're going to buy it, too. Damn it. But how do you feel more about that? Like, I think that's the right way to go about it. It's kind of a loophole, but it's also more about it. Like, if you're going to buy these products, at least let them be made by people in the community and not just pandered to by everyone else.
I think it's a step in the right direction, and being transparent with where like your money goes. If you're like donating things to causes, products that are, LGBT pride based, make sure they're going to proper causes and you're not just pocketing the profits. And be transparent on where your money's going, who's making it, that sort of thing. I think it's a step in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work to do for Target specifically.
And I feel like not to put the target on their back. I mean, that's there it is. No, there it is. But I mean, in general, like, is there a right answer for this? I mean, I think we're all evolving as people, as a human race, and as a more close-knit just group of people. Let's call it a community. We're all a fucking community. It doesn't matter. How many times we need the counter in the bottom right? Like, how many times I said
the community ticker.
Yeah, we're just trying to. I'm not scared to tiptoe around anything. Like I said, I've got people everywhere. I just want to make sure that the words I say are non-offensive as always. Because like, even if I do offend somebody, I'm not trying to. Unless you really piss me off, then I might say some hateful shit. But I don't want to be one of those people that are just out to offend people.
It's difficult to like piss somebody off. You have to be just like a belligerent asshole.
I think it's about more, again, kind of what we had the conversation earlier, who you are versus what you say. And hopefully I come off as a genuine enough person where it's like, yeah, in my past, I've done a lot of stupid ass fuck shit. But now as a man, like, through living and learning, I want to be inclusive, friendly to everyone, just as people. Like, again, if I like you, I like you. And it kind of comes down to that. I kind of lost where I was going with that. But like, is there a right answer for these situations that we're dealing with about trying to be inclusive and trying to navigate all through around each other and trying to respect everyone? Should we just not pander to anything, or should we just try and be more blanketly, continuously inclusive instead of in June?
Continuously inclusive, it's not seasonal. Just like you said, sexuality isn't seasonal. Just knowing that these companies, if they're claiming to like have your back and be supportive, let's see that energy carried July, August, September, October, all the way through, and not just flaring up for 1 month. But then it's also like, why even have Pride Month? Every month should be Pride Month. It's like, it is a conundrum. Yeah. What is the right answer?
But then that same theory is what people use, like, why have the Pride flag? Why have, this flag? Why have that flag? We're all Americans. We should just fly the American flag. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like...
It's about whether or not people feel connected to that particular group or that flag, or people want to feel represented, and that kind of helps them feel like that way.
It's visibility. Visibility is very important. You don't even have to be. Well, I don't know if loud and proud is the right word, but just being visible, just being a part of everybody else, being one with everything is important.
Be who you are. Support what you love and show that support. I guess that's the point of the flag.
That's the point of the flag. At least that's my interpretation. I'm just a gay guy. I don't speak for everybody, but everybody comes from different life experiences.
No, and I want that people to know that. I mean, it's just fucking obvious information, but you know how the world works. I didn't have you on here to fucking answer.
People need to be told obvious, though.
Yeah, I didn't have you on here to be the spokesperson for the gays. You're not my only gay friend. You're just the fucking dude that we play games with and we work together and we're cool. And guess what? You can speak for the community because you're part of it.
Yeah, but not like, I guess, being like speaking for myself as a part of it, but not for everyone. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But you have to tell people things very literally, because media literacy is kind of dead these days. So if you don't say things literally and bluntly, people will misconstrue it. You know how it is.
All the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of going back into what you said, media literacy is dead. How do you feel about you being a camera operator versus what the news agency you work for? Like, how do I want to phrase this? Let's see. Basically, what I'm trying to ask, like, do you feel like their coverages of certain topics and everything like that is fair? Or do you feel as if it's catered to their audience, which is what every business does?
When it comes down to it, you have to get as much money for your advertisers as possible who play your commercials on your news channel. And to do that, you have to have good content that people are going to want to keep. They're going to want to keep them watching the channel and not change the channel to competitors like KLFY or something. Yeah. So it kind of has its drawbacks. You do have to be, neutral isn't a bad thing, but you do have to cover things fairly. And I think for the most part, we do that. There was this Republican convention a couple of days ago that actually happened when Roe v. Wade was overturned. And we were like the first ones. Yeah, it was to be neutral. While I felt majorly uncomfortable there, we had to do it to get both sides of the coin. So we made sure that while we covered this Republican convention, we also sought out a abortion protest, a pro-choice protest, and we found that and we covered it. We gave it like equal coverage,
airtime. That's good. Yeah, and that's very respectable. And we can kind of jump into more of that Roe v. Wade decision topic and shit in a minute. But I feel like what blows people's minds and people don't understand is everything is a business, and I feel like people don't understand these two items are businesses, and they're some of the biggest businesses in the world, which is news agencies and churches. And at the end of the day, you have to have money coming in to continue what's afloat. Like the movie, I'm sure you've seen it, Nightcrawler.
Yeah, I love that
beautiful
movie.
Fucking movie. The whole concept is that, like, people have seen it. I've probably talked about it before. But when you realize that, these news agencies, all they are at the end of the day is just like Cartoon Network, just like HGTV, it's an entertainment platform that tries to get people to stay continuing to watch their programs to where they can show that information to advertising agencies. Look how many people watch us during this hour. Mm-hmm. Boom, buy our ad slots in here, and then we'll make money from that. That's the whole concept of it. Granted, it's journalism, and I know a lot of journalists that really want to get the truth out there and really want to inform people, and that's what the base of news is. But to do that, you have to, like you said, find your audience, cater to your audience, and stuff like that.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword, because you have, like you said, you want journalists to be truthful and to give the news, truthfully and honestly, but at the same time, in order to be able to do that, to support your network and to actually make money and make a living off of that, you have to cater to your audience. Yeah. And, in order to do that, people are only going to want to hear their side, just blared back at them through a TV screen.
Yeah. And I kind of have to not answer for that, but understand some of that on my end, because as a person that has so many friends across every kind of thing, I got people that don't want to hear the gay shit. They're okay with them. They don't care. I got people that don't want to hear gun shit. They're okay with it. They don't care. I got people that don't want to hear the nerd video game shit. But at the end of the day, it would be so easy for me to just jump in this podcast and say, we are a video game podcast and we're going to do all the video games. Then you find your niche and you quickly excel. But at the end of the day, I want to be truthful to all the things I'm interested in, all the things Kyle's interested in. Those kind of, a lot of those things intertwine. And I mean, that's why we have you here.
Yeah.
Just as different people that are interested in the same things, I want those people and me and Kyle to be able to share thoughts and opinions, kind of as people that are more open to everything. And that has a lot to do with my ADD mind. It's just fucking broad and I have so many random ass hobbies. But I want to try and explore or expose all those things to the masses. It's kind of like, that's why we called it Ann Lane. It's just what happens in my brain. You know, it's not why, but it's because our old podcast host left and just kind of shortened the title a little bit. But
it works.
Yeah, it works because it's like, what I want this podcast to be is a exploration of my thoughts and interests and viewpoints along with other people's to the masses, to people who want to check it out and stuff like that. And probably would be way slower than if I said, let's just do a video game podcast. We'll find that niche and go. But I want to do the opposite of that because I speak on all these problems and issues. Like I said, the news trying to pander to certain things and finding your own community and shit like that. It's just, I want to be a broad and open spectrum platform.
Humans are like, I like to think of humans as like canvases. You start off life with little to no paint, and as you experience things in life, you just accumulate more paint and more colors and things. And you can have more colors than others, but we should celebrate like all those different experiences. And it just makes you more of a vibrant, interesting person. You could have less colors and be more of like one color, but you know, it's just the way I see it.
It's still your canvas.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want with it.
You can do what you want. You can have all the colors you want, experience all the things you want, and you can find people who have similar colors, that sort of thing. That's the way I like to see it.
I like that. I like that a lot. Kind of jumping into less more of an interview topic. And also, like, if there's anything you want to talk about on this podcast, just say what you want. That's your microphone for the day.
This is my microphone.
We don't censor anything unless for like hate speech and like triggering shit like that.
We're not doing that here anyway.
Yeah. Sometimes topics come up that are touchy and stuff like that I don't like to talk about. But for the most part, I try not to stray away from everything. Big thing on the docket today. We'll kind of get into it very lightly because I'm sure people don't want to hear three dudes' opinions on what the fuck is going on. I really just want to get out there that for myself, I'm going to speak on myself. Like, and I'm sure Kyle and Alex, we're kind of all people that, you know, y'all speak for yourself. This is basically just bullshit, this decision. I feel like we're in the 1950s again with this Roe V raid shit.
We reset the clocks by way back.
The pendulum has swung in the opposite direction and it's swung really hard. And that's what things are. It's like, if you notice, it's always a pendulum. We go through a progressive era, then a conservative era. But now it's not so much conservative. It's more regressive, like you said. We're turning the clocks back.
Definitely. And that's a major problem because in the time where we have a president that's supposed to be a progressive president, you know, supposed to be representative of the people that elected him, all these things. What is he doing?
Well, the thing is,
he's falling off of bikes and shit like that, and not really
saying that he's like, you know, for this shit, but it's technically out of his control because of the way the system is set up, and it's that's why they stacked the courts the way they did in order to. And they took an opportunity to do that.
And what's really pissing me off is I feel like he's just this 80-year-old man, 79, let's call him 80.
Old codger.
Yeah,
old guy.
That's just parading as this progressive man. But what I really want him to do is just be this conservative old white man that you really are and show who you really are now. Because everything that he said he wanted to fix and everything we trusted him into fix, nothing has happened.
No.
Kamala hasn't done anything. Biden hasn't done anything. And I don't want to be the political podcast, but we have to at this point. It's everyone's trying to figure out who, what, when, where, and why right now. It's like the why to me is it's not obvious, but I can only think that we are the first generation of millennials. Our millennials are the first generation that aren't supposedly producing enough people to replace our generation fruitfully or whatever. And I think it all comes down to, here's the problem. Everyone wants to be pro-choice, which is what I am because I don't care per se. Like I don't, if it doesn't directly involve me, I want you to make your own decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
The thing I have right now, the only thing I can think of is that they just want to fix that problem and create future taxpayers to keep on spending money in the machine, keep it going, keeping the government going, keeping our economy strong. Because the truth of the matter is America has this beautiful lie that they have. Their marketing department, America's marketing department is great. We are told and we are sold on the fact that we are the greatest country in the world, the number one country in the world, the most free country in the world. And that's all bullshit. It's just marketing. And it's fucking great because at the end of the day, America's a business just like everything else. We want to say all these lies to get people to come here. And granted, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that was the case. But now it's just we're trying to fix all these problems that are future problems and we're taking the hold on for it.
I think it's right along the timeline of like, I think we've talked about it on here before that empires on average fall every 250 years and we're like 246 years old.
We're at the end of our lifespan, essentially.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to fall, but as we go into more and more of a worldwide economy and a worldwide community,
well, like
I think all these borders and stuff like that are very arbitrary and stupid. But at the end of the day, people need a leader. People need to follow things. I mean, that's why a lot of people fall into religion and stuff like that. It's a sense of belonging, and we need someone to look up and blame for all the issues and answer all the questions we have. But whenever we have questions and we have issues, they're not there to do it. Like right now, we've got this problem where we're recessing to fucking 50 years ago and all this other bullshit. What do? The people aren't happy. What I want to happen if we live in a true democracy, that this would be, and I know it's never going to work out like that because the system is spun to where to say we have power, but in reality, we really don't. I mean, they're going to have another situation like George Floyd, Black Lives Matter situation where they're going to make this decision and shit's going to go crazy. And then maybe they'll try and like accommodate for it a little bit. But to avoid all that, I think we just need to have, and this is a very uneducated opinion by me, I'm not the political man, but a popular vote on a lot of these topics where these topics don't directly affect the people making the decisions, but affect the people that decisions are made for. Like, I feel like whenever we have these topics, do you want to do abortions? Yes or no? Make an app. Make a fucking online vote, a Twitter poll, like something like that.
A census poll or something. A census
poll, something you could do. We have the technology. We could do it on our phones. We could do it whatever. Granted, they'd probably tap and taper into that and fuck all that up. But like, let the people decide what you want to do.
Embracing that challenges those who are in power, the older generation who are in power. It upsets their balance.
They don't want to give that up?
No, I don't think so. They're on a payroll. These judges are there for life. They don't really care. They're not going to live to see the changes.
That's the craziest thing to me, that they are there for life.
I know.
Like every other like role in government, you have an age limit. You have to retire by a certain age. You know, like the fact that you're there for life, there's no term limit, and you just stay there until you die or resign or whatever is insane to me.
And when you have judges vowing that they're going to make progressive people's, like progressive presidents' lives more miserable as long as they're there, that doesn't bode well. That's not neutral. You're just voting to do what you want. You're not worried about the greater good. Exactly. And that's a really big issue.
You literally take a vow whenever you become a judge that you're going to do exactly that and what's best for the people, and you just inflict your own moral decisions on everybody else that affects people in a very negative way. People will end up dying because of this, and it's what's fucked up about it.
It's like the ones who have gone on record saying that yes, Roe v. Wade is precedent, I do respect it, and then come now this month and look at what's happened.
Yeah.
Guess they changed their minds? No, they never have.
The main issue is that like we're supposed to be for the people, by the people. Now we elect these people to represent us, and then they go along and elect a person who elects another person who elects another person. And it's so convoluted and diluted that by the time these decisions actually get made, the people who we chose that to represent our beliefs don't really represent them.
Our wishes and the way they were lost along the way.
Yeah, basically all we're doing is picking a team captain or a couple team captains, and then they are going on along from there and building their team up to what they think's the best for them to win that championship. You know what I mean? Like we get to pick the star player. And then they pick up all these supporting players along the way that make these stupid ass decisions. Like, I'm not the sports guy, but like, let's say we pick the quarterback, and then the quarterback picks the receiver and picks all these other things. And instead of the receiver being someone that can catch the ball, they're picking someone that fumbles it or catches the ball in their favor. You know what I mean? Like,
or someone that they like, just to have them there,
just to stay in power. Just buddies, money exchanging hands, promises exchanging hands, all these things, and then just playing basically God and along the way, you know, like we're going to make these decisions for y'all people.
The other thing too is that like you have people that are, like you say, you're supposed to represent, you know, our beliefs and our wishes, that whenever we elect them, but what they end up doing is just playing politics and using it as a caveat, for the next election cycle. Like, oh, we're going to continue to fight for those rights. That's why Roe v. Wade was never codified in the first place whenever it could have been.
It was something to campaign on.
Exactly. And that's what they're going to do for the next, however many years until this ever gets fixed, is we're going to fight back for that. And they're just going to use that as a campaign slogan.
It's a carrot at the end of a stick that they're holding in front of us. And it's like those Republicans who all voted no for that price gouging bill because they need something to campaign on come November.
Exactly.
They're going to be like, well, this didn't get fixed under this administration, but we're going to fix it.
But you're the one literally voting to not fix it right now.
Yeah. But they don't count on people looking into these things. They just want people to turn on their news channel of choice and just watch and stay in their echo chamber.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to know a lot of people, wide variety of people who have different things to say. Dissenting opinions is very important. Media literacy is dead.
Absolutely.
When it comes down to it.
And I've had conversations, just like what you said, with people that view things both in other ways. And I've had conversations with even like people in my family that always pro-life people. You can be pro-life all you want to be, but don't make someone else be that way just because you feel that way. There's no such thing as unborn rights. That doesn't make fucking sense.
No,
granted, like if
not.
you think it's murder, if you think it's whatever, then don't do it.
My thing
don't
is,
make decisions for other people on behalf of your beliefs that will negatively affect these people, future generations, and all these things just because you, in my head, like the only answer why they're doing this is they want more soldiers. They want more people. They want more taxpayers. They
more
want
workers in the workforce to go to jobs.
Absolutely. To make America's economy stronger, to make more money. The same problem we have with everything. It's all fucking marketing. It's all game plans and it's all bullshit. Like let the people live. Let the people do what they want. This is supposed to be America where we can create a business and do what our business what we want. Why can't we do that with our bodies? Why can't we run our bodies like a business? They're our business. They're personal business. Stay out of our personal business. The fucking IRS and everything else does enough to intervene with everything else professionally. Let us have some shit personally.
It's very hypocritical when you think about it. This freedom of choice, you are eliminating what they like, their freedom of choice, their thing to do what they want. You are eliminating that because it doesn't really affect them. It's not the same thing to them.
Exactly.
And then what's next? Like this is as crazy as to me is like them basically pulling back women not being able to vote or slavery coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what America stood for, is that you get to do what you want. You get to worship who you want, and you get to work wherever you want. That's kind of the basic things. And you get to live where you want. You get to dress how you want. You get to do what you want. But guess what? Now, less and less and less of these things are happening.
And the thing is, like, this starts like a slippery slope of, like, if they take away this rights, what's next? Like, what rights are they going to take away? And they've even said, like, the fucking
gay
Clarence Brown, Clarence Thomas, that they're going to look into rights and precedents that have set up for gay rights, for same-sex marriages, interracial marriages, these things that have protected people for decades. They're going to try to overturn that now, and it just becomes, at what point does it stop?
They're calling it mistakes that they need to rectify. But Clarence Thomas, he is in an interracial marriage. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, can y'all give more background on Clarence Thomas? Because I'm not that educated on this.
He's a Republican judge on the Supreme Court.
Okay.
He's a black man, and apparently he's in an interracial marriage to a woman, to a white woman, I'm guessing. But that's one thing that he was quoted as saying, that's where they're going to go after next.
She's a strong Trump supporter, by the way.
Yeah, super, super strong. But it's just kind of like I said, where does it end? At what point do we stop saying, like, these are human rights that everybody should be able to have?
Yeah. And you know what? One thing that gets me heated, this is kind of off topic. I hate that people use Trump supporter as a villainizing adjective.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's just like, and I'm not attacking anyone. I'm not doing anything. I mean, look how the fucking Biden supporters look. We look like fucking idiots.
There's a difference between supporters and voters. Biden voters don't necessarily support Biden now versus people who may have voted for, let's say Trump, and they support him no matter what, and they're not willing to listen to any criticism.
People that still think he's the president.
Cult of personality.
Because you can elect a president that you think will make good decisions, but might not necessarily like who they are as a person. And that's where the problem is, because they are celebrities. At the end of the day, they are people with lots of baggage and lots of issues that they have done in their past. I think a lot of things, we look back on it now, Trump was a fucking animal. He did a lot of fucking stupid shit. He said a lot of fucking stupid things. But in the grand scheme of things, what did he really fuck up? Am I unaware of a lot of things that he really fucked up?
The thing was that the people that supported him turned into like this tribal mentality that would like supported him no matter what, and they were just fucking like ravage the other side to where it's like you just dig yourself deeper into your own trench, and people end up hating you. Like you just being radicalized by your own side, pretty much.
And also that contributes to the pendulum. What I was saying earlier, swinging hard the other way. I'd like to say his supporters and his ideologies and the way he did things definitely pushed the pendulum in the opposite direction to where we are now. Hopefully it'll swing back, but that's just the way it is. That's where we are now.
Yeah.
And it's like we can't really find a happy medium balance because that doesn't exist. It's you want to try this flavor for a couple years, then you get tired of that, and you want to try mint chip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
even moderate isn't really helpful either, because with moderates like, let's say, Biden, he's very neutral. He just wants as many voters to vote for him as possible. He's not willing to do any strong action one way or the other because that alienates him from a spectrum of the voter base.
Yeah.
Yeah. Political boys, the political pod that we try and stay away from. But guess what?
You always end up getting in the bag.
Client, what are you going to do? What are you going to do in this climate?
We're living in the real world, and these are things happening in the real world, so they have to be addressed.
Well, speaking of things that happen in the real world, Kyle, today we started off late, and this won't be a long episode, even though I'm really fucking enjoying this episode, by the way. Yeah, it's like a really good vibe. It's just natural. It's clicking. I like it. But we had to start off a little late because Kyle went to a protest today. You want to kind of give us a little bit of backstory about that?
So they had a protest for pro-choice kind of on campus. It seems to be like the protest spot, like the corner of University in Johnston. We ended up there for a while. It was a really good turnout. Like I'd say probably a couple hundred people. We went to one a while back right before this decision was made. It was like downtown. It was pretty cool. Like had a lot of people come and support. But like being in like a really trafficked area with all these cars passing, you had a lot of people honking like in support. But then you also had like all these people that were literally rolled down the windows and like flipping us off. And like if some dude just like rolled up in a motorcycle and he literally was parked there and he just like put his thumbs down and like that's all he did. He was just shaking his head and people just started booing him. Like it was just really weird, but most people like that would be in support were honking, had a lot of love. If you weren't in support, you'd probably just drive by and just not say anything.
Yeah. It's like you look at them like they're a car wash on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I texted you about last night. I was just like, I'm mad at the world right now. I'm pessimistic about everything. You told me you were doing that. And I was like, yeah, go do that. But what is that going to do? What is that going to fix? What is that anything? And
visibility.
Then you explained to me as visibility and a way to vent frustrations and things like that, essentially, at the end of the day. And that's very important in a time like this where everything's fucking bottlenecking and it's just becoming a pressure pot. And there needs to be a fucking way to release some shit. And
you have to have some people that care enough about it to be able to go and do that, because not everybody can, not everybody has time. And so just to show that your opinion, your values are being seen, you're visible,
Was the news there?
We actually saw like kind of towards the end, somebody came with a camera that was kind of filming. And then like as we were leaving, they were interviewing a couple people too. So
we were there the day it passed. We found a protest, but it's almost like these protests are fine, but you look at these other countries who are like doing crazy things when they're unhappy. These people are like throwing like kitchen sinks in their politicians' windows and stuff. Yeah. And it's almost like that gets results, not to sound like radical, but maybe
that's the only way governments or laws get overturned is when people threaten the government directly.
It's a shame that it comes to that, but I mean, they are people too. They're almost apathetic and you have to like get them to listen.
Yeah.
It's just terrible that it comes to that sort of thing, but protest should be enough. In an ideal world, it should be enough.
I mean, we have the right to do that, and I don't know if that's kind of just like a blanket bullshit right that they give us to like calm us down. Like,
to make us feel like we have something.
Exactly, and that's the main problem where it kind of comes back to is like, what does it fix though? Like, why don't we have like a veto button of our own? I get, granted, it would probably be abused and all this shit, but like, how fucked up would the world be if, or, the government, United States government be if the people had more direct power? Like, vote for what you want and just do that instead of like, because if everyone voted for what they wanted, it's not anarchy. It wouldn't be anarchy. You would see where sides fall and you would see what the quantity of the masses want. And you kind of would go that way. And that's kind of what it is. But when it comes down to these personal choices, I don't believe I never believe in banishing or abolishing anything. I always believe in a lot more restriction and more guidelines than anything. Kind of like when we came back and talked about the gun control shit.
Yeah.
I don't believe that people shouldn't own guns. I mean, as a man like from the South and like a very liberal and progressive person, I like to say, I still like a lot of the things that are traditionally conservative, like gun ownership and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that people should have their rights taken away. I believe that if anything, they should be protected, but also governed, not necessarily governed, but more guidelines. Just like this, like, I mean, if you're worried about people having abortions and all this stuff, and you really want to put something into legislation, maybe just make some guidelines and shit about it instead of just fucking taking it all away.
Or just if you don't want an abortion, just don't get one.
Yeah,
that too.
There's always the option to opt out. I don't want this, opt out.
Don't do it.
And education is important too, getting people to realize like, just because this thing is going this way, this is what you can do about it. Yeah. Or I have the option to not do this thing. It's not just that person's on a diet and I'm not on a diet. I don't like that.
And the thing is, like, if you really want to outlaw something and lower something from happening, like particularly with abortions, the way to actually lower that is not by banning abortions, but by putting support for things to where people don't have to get abortions, providing universal health care, giving maternal leave, things that cause people to have an abortion because they don't have access to, look into that first instead of just banning it altogether, because banning something is not going to stop something from happening. Sorry.
I've heard that companies that like some people are praising for like giving their workers like healthcare for abortion and stuff. Some people said, well, they're just doing that because it's cheaper than maternity leave.
True.
It's kind of sad. It's like, oh, this corporation's doing a good thing. No, the bottom line when it comes down to it.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's cheaper than maternity leave, but at least it's giving people a fucking option.
Yeah. And that's always good to have that choice.
I've been kind of, since like this happened and even since before this, I've been looking into vasectomy just because, granted, like I like to have sex. Everyone does. And I chose a partner that we can reproduce.
Should mandate vasectomies. Just saying.
All right.
It shouldn't be mandatory.
Okay,
that's the same problem.
It's that same energy.
That's the same energy and the same problem.
Exactly.
It's like you should be able to make that choice. I'm doing more research into it. It doesn't seem to be that expensive. It seems to be reversible. The only problem is that a lot of insurance doesn't cover it. But granted, it doesn't seem to be like too expensive. I want to be able to have some kind of power over this crazy fucking situation, and I don't want to force birth control on any of my partners because, granted, I've seen kind of what it does. It's kind of the same things as SSRIs, where it kind of fixes one problem, but then creates lots of other problems in the grand scheme of things. The more chemicals you add into your body, the more fucking crazy your chemical factory that is your brain already is, and it just kind of goes on from there and keeps on. One thing adds with another one, and you're creating chemical X in your brain. You go crazy.
Isn't it true? Isn't it true that like getting a vasectomy, the process to do it is easier, cheaper, and faster than to get an abortion?
Oh yeah,
that's like another thing too.
Like you could be done in a couple hours.
Yeah. Versus an abortion, you have to don't you have to get like a written permission from
I know for a fact if you want to get a hysterectomy, you have to get permission from your male spouse. That's 100% fact. Somebody told me that.
Is that like tying your tubes, a tubal litigation or whatever?
Yeah, like tying your tubes up, getting a hysterectomy, you have to have permission.
Is it tubal litigation?
I don't know.
I forget exactly the term. Something like that, though.
That's wacky.
Yeah. I mean, there we go again. I mean, is that true, though? Do you know that for a fact?
Yeah. Somebody who wanted to have it done, that's what she was told by her doctor.
Because I knew a chick that I used to talk to, and she was in her mid-20s, and this was a few years ago, and she had to press her insurance, and she had really great insurance. She had to press for 4 years in order to get that procedure done because her insurance would just not cover it, and it was way too expensive for her to cover it on her own, like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, where vasectomies is normally just a couple $100.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about it like, the fact that women, again, want to do these things and the government is just saying, no, you can't do it. You need a proper reason and you're only in your early 20s. This is non-reversible. Like, you're going to regret this for the rest of your life. Like, why do you get to make these decisions for these bodies? But yet when it comes to men, because there's an answer out of it, they get the easy way out of it.
Yeah.
Men made these structures and made these things. So, of course, they're going to make things skew in their favor and their convenience.
If men, I'll say it again, I've said it before, if men were the ones getting pregnant, they would have an abortion clinic at every fucking corner.
Like
it would
Starbucks.
be in like an ATM or a Starbucks.
Yeah. No, like, don't get it twisted. I'm happy I'm a man. I'm glad I'm a man. I support men, and like men have a lot of issues of their own. the problem is that we shouldn't be making decisions based on other people's body parts as men that don't even have those.
Or being driven by emotion. Like, as a man, like, you don't like abortion. You can't even, that's not even a problem you'll have. Why are you driven by emotion so strongly? Yeah. Let's hear what these, like, women and other people have to say.
It's fucked.
We're fucked.
The world can be a good place, but we have to try really hard to make it that place.
Yeah. Or try less.
Maybe, yeah.
And more fucking go with the flow. Feng shui? That's not the word.
Feng shui.
Feng shui? Is that how you really say it?
Yeah.
Buddhism too, letting go and being with everything. But it's tough to put on a happy face and just be carefree right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, we got a little while left. Where do y'all want to take this? Alex, you want to talk more about yourself? You want to talk more about other problems? You mentioned Buddhism. You said that you are kind of a believer.
I'm trying to be. I'm not trying to claim like I have an understanding, because I'm like a big Alan Watts fan. I've like read his books. I listen to his things, but
can you kind of give a brief cover of who Alex Watts is?
Alan Watts is this, he's a philosophical entertainer. I think he's like a Buddhist, but he doesn't claim to be like an official anything. He gives speeches. He writes books. He's that kind of guy.
Probably has a podcast.
If he would. No, actually, his son has a podcast on Spotify, Mark Watts. It's a really good podcast. I recommend it.
I feel like I've heard the Mark Watts before, like that name.
Yeah. He's well known. He's not as well renowned as his father, but like he keeps that legacy going.
Got you.
But it's tough to explain Alan Watts. And like, again, I don't want to like speak on him, but like I recommend people who are interested in Buddhism to like look up things about him to kind of get your own opinion on it.
Okay. Growing up, I had quite a few friends in the Asian community, and a lot of them practice Buddhism, but I don't really have a basic understanding of the religion itself. Could you kind of provide a very blanket background of what you do understand about it?
From my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, it's that you're one with everything. Some of it is maybe that you're like, it's not that we are built in the image of God. It's that like we're kind of like God in disguise and we don't know it. Like we're one with everything. Don't let things get you down, because there's this analogy that Alan Watts had. He's like, we're all kind of like falling off a cliff and we're like trying to grab for something. We grab for a rock and we hang on to it. But like, what does that matter? We're all going in the same place, and the outcome is going to be the same. It's not negative, but it's like, why spend the time that we're on this planet worrying about things that are inevitable? That sort of thing.
It's kind of like a very laissez-faire like religion.
Yeah, c'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
I like the way you said that. It was very soothing in my ears.
I know a little French.
Yeah, that's kind of another thing too, where like we talk about this all the time, and like I love, and I told you this on a rant to you recently, I love just people that have a more feminine energy to them, because it's just like, it's so soothing to talk to someone that's more emotional based and a lot more emotional mixed with logic. Just more thinking of other people's problems. And it's like the straightest thing I do is probably play golf. And we talk about it a lot on this podcast.
Damn.
I mean, besides like having sex with women, the straightest thing.
Yeah, second thing, right? The sex with women is top.
Yeah,
golf is. Yeah,
yeah. And even when I do have sex with women, it's not the straightest thing I do. I kind of, I'm fluid in a lot of things. You know,
you walk that line.
Well, like we can kind of jump into another topic, because like anyway. It's just something about like having feminine energy around that I love, and it's just probably because I was raised by women, and just
it's calming.
It's calming.
There's a calmness to the sensitivity. No, you're being heard. You're being listened to.
It feels relaxed.
Yeah. It's not just hearing somebody, but you're listening to them.
Yes.
Versus like the typical manly thing is just like they're problem solvers. They don't really believe in venting. It's just they're listening to solve a problem, not to just listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just venting.
Yeah.
Instead of having a discussion, getting to a conclusion and finding growth from that, which granted doesn't happen from every conversation, but that's kind of the goal of conversation is to change viewpoints, or at least educate, or at least learn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Conversations are exchanges of information, not just you're listening to somebody and you're waiting to talk. You should always be open to you have like an open hand about life. You know, you always let things in. You don't squeeze things. You know, you let things come and go, that sort of thing.
Yeah, let things come and go. Squeeze it with your hand.
Yeah,
I see what you're doing.
You see, just happy pride.
Yeah. Where I was going with the golf thing, I guess, is like I have conversations with dudes in the golf course, and it's like only like straight white men. Normally, it's like the traditional like golf demographic, and it's just like.
They have a cigar in their mouth and a Michelob in the other hand.
I'm so focused on hitting the ball, and it's a very gay sport. I mean, all sports are gay. You playing with balls.
Focus on the ball.
Yeah.
You have like this thing in your hand.
It's stick and balls, right?
There's some muffled grunting happening while you do
it.
Like tennis.
Yeah, sticks and balls. I mean, that's sports, and that's pretty, anyway. It's always the conversations like, oh yeah, you did that one good, or oh yeah, you hit that ball good, and oh yeah, you killed it, bro. Whatever. It's never like, so what do you think about the fucking Blue Jays that are floating over there? You know,
isn't it such a nice day?
Yeah, it's just like, oh man, I fucking suck, I'm trash, like, or oh, you're the best.
Hit the piss out of that ball.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's entertaining, and I don't know. Kind of, we talked about. We'll have a blanket. Not a blanket. What's the word I'm looking for? Every time I say blanket, I think of Michael Jackson's son.
Why? Oh, his name Blanket?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway, a kind of more open discussion. We talked about your sexuality on the air. I'll talk about mine, because I have lots of experiences and confusion when I was younger, because my sister growing up called me,
Oh man!
Listen, she called me the F word because I want to say it, but like
F slur.
Yeah,
I have a question about that in a second. Or I'll just ask Alex.
Yeah.
So is that like is that kind of like the N word where certain people have a pass? Like,
it really. Remember what we were saying about how we describe the community? It depends on like the usage, who's saying it.
Yeah.
It can be a term of endearment. It could also be really like fucked up to say. Like. Some of my roommates, to just make them purposely uncomfortable. I'm the only like gay one in my house. Actually, we have another roommate who's gay, but he's new. Anyways, being like the sole gay person, like I sometimes use that word just to like make them uncomfortable. And I'm like, well, I'm gay, I can say that. But then I was like, man, like should people be saying that? Should we even be using that term, even as a term of endearment?
Yeah,
it's tricky.
I think a lot of people have that same discussion with the N word in their own communities, because it's like, as more and more people say it, more and more people get comfortable hearing it and want to use it as well. And growing up, from my family used it the whole time. And I mean, obviously they were people of the community. So I kind of grew up not necessarily saying it, but it hurt all the time. My sister called me that. And I love you, Caitlin. Congratulations on your newborn child. But I was called that my whole life. And then in middle school, I was called that and everything too. So I was like, growing up, I never like... Until I got a little bit older in middle school, I'm like, fuck, like, am I? I don't fucking know. Like, I'm just a person that cares about, I'm clean. I want to take showers and I like to look good. So
I'm well groomed.
Use lotion and
so I'm like
exfoliating and moisterizing.
Yeah.
Gay.
It's like the, not Mac Miller. Who the fuck is that? He had the thrift shop, Macklemore. He had that song. Yeah. But it's kind of the same thought where like growing up, I always not necessarily question my sexuality, but like never had a definitive answer. I didn't have a father figure around to teach me about women and all these things. And my mother never really taught me about them. She just taught me to be a good person and, don't be a piece of shit. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. And granted, I've been a piece of shit in the past, but it's all about learning and living. But growing up, I always kind of questioned it until I just kind of like figured out that like, like I'm not interested. Like I think men can be attractive, and I can look at men and be like, oh, he's a pretty dude. He's an attractive dude. Yeah. Do I want to suck his penis, let him touch my penis or anything like that? No. But like, he's cute. He's pretty. You know what I mean?
And guys should be like okay with saying that. That should be a comfortable thing to say. This like
people.
This macho like, oh, like I can't even compliment. Like, why not, dude? If you're not gonna like suck, fuck, whatever. Like, you can compliment another guy. Say like, you look nice, you look hot.
Also, the whole thing about like letting another girl touch your ass. Like, people be like, oh, that's gay. Like, no, dude.
Like, what?
It's literally another woman.
I kind of got a nice ass. I like the attention.
Yeah,
it's nice sometimes,
The reason, or like the thing, I'm laughing at this because I went to Bolt a few times recently this month. I'm just trying to release some stress, get fucked up, and not worry about anything. And also, like, the gay single is not a fucking single; it's like a triple pour. It's a very strong, like,
we have a heavy hand.
Yeah, right. And that's
it's the wrist.
It's I like that. But I was pissing in Bolt the other day. Look, I have to say pissing to kind of add some straightness to it. I was pissing in Bolt the other day, and in the stalls, there's like there's no walls in between it. No, there's just urinals, and I was chucking that shit in the urinal.
You were like way up in there,
and like I was having a moment. I was kind of like looking up, and I had like very much what you call it, like pee fright. What is it? Pee anxiety.
It's almost like stage fright.
Stage fright. I couldn't pee. I had to just stare up in the sky, and like there was dudes on the left and right of me, and like very respectful. No one was like, like people think they would. Like obviously, I mean, I've been around like this. Just people. They're just fucking people. They don't really want to see your dick. Like
it's human nature.
Yeah, like people are curious. Like you kind of peek over a little bit or whatever, but like not really. That's not what I do. But no, I was just like looking straight up in the air, and I was like, these dudes need to go away so I can fucking piss. I really need to piss. Is
it like that whenever you go to like a sporting event or somewhere where they just have like the trough where everybody's pissing
it's
in
individual urinal.
I know that.
That's
but
like middle school.
Yeah.
The trough is middle school.
Why do they even have that? That's so
it's efficiency
weird.
Because men designed it. Because men, I don't know. That's pretty gay.
That's kind of honestly kind of gay.
That's very gay.
We should address that.
I remember in middle school myself, we used to try and this isn't up in my case, but me and like my middle school friends, it was elementary school probably. Like it might have been like third grade or some shit like that. We would stand on one side of the long ass trough and see if we could pee across all
literally
of the
a pissing contest.
Yeah, literally a pissing contest.
That's what men do from elementary school.
Yeah, men are just obsessed with their dicks, man. That's all it is.
And they're ugly. Like they're not good to look at. That's the thing. It's like sexual organs like aren't that great. Ass looks great. Chest, whether it's a man or a woman, they look great. It's like the focal point you want to look at. But when it comes to a dick, you really have to have an appreciation and understanding of the human anatomy to really look at him and say, like, that is hot. That's
it's
sexy.
like it was the last minute addition. They just slapped it on whenever like humans were being created.
Oh,
like,
shit.
I forgot about this. I got to add this shit real quick.
And that's the main thing. It's like women have innies and men have outies and trans people have whatever the fuck they want to have. But it's like, it's a weird thing.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not like an attractive thing. I don't know. Some people do. Like,
you're attracted to everything else. That's like the least
genitals being not attractive mainly. Yeah.
If I love someone, they're attractive.
But dudes
I'm very, very interested.
Then why are dudes obsessed with sending dick pics?
Because they think women want to see it because we want to see women naked.
They can't look outside their perspective. Look out from outside looking in and go, maybe a woman doesn't want to see this. All they know is
it's always
man.
It's always from their perspective too, because like looking down, it's just like a fucking.
I've seen some.
It's like a banana, like a little.
I've seen some crazy dick pics, but what is like, or at least the gay dick pics, are they better?
They're more artistic, yes.
More artistic,
yeah. You have different angles. You've got like the undershot, the overshot, rear, front camera.
You leave more to the imagination.
I like that because in my nudes, all my nudes that I've taken, they're very, very like I feel like artistic. Because when like I was younger trying to take shit, I'm just like, or more like probably like this. It was just like, you know what I mean? Like just put a little bit and then like just
you never did something for a size reference, having something in the shot too.
I have never measured my penis.
No, I mean like having something in the shot to get a reference for like how big it is. Because like gay guys do that too. A LaCroix can or something like that.
No.
It has to be a LaCroix can.
Specifically, the girth and everything is only, you get the right perspective.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know. Have y'all measured your penises since I'm out here being, by the way,
for sure.
By the way, to finish it, like, I'm straight. Yeah. But I respect and love everyone.
Yeah. And you should be able to compliment guys.
Yeah, compliment guys. Don't be afraid of it. Like, dudes are sexy, chicks are sexy. But I mean, I don't understand. Like, that's my mindset is like, how can another man find another man sexually attractive? Because I know what it is to be a man, and we, most part, don't take care of ourselves. Like, we are nasty people. Like, our buttholes stink. We piss, and we don't. Here's the weirdest thing: we just shake our dicks, and a little bit of pee drips off the end. It drips into your underwear. That's weird as fuck.
Yeah.
We don't
call it a day,
and we don't call it. It's weird. But also, you're wired how you're wired, and you like what you like. And it probably comes down to, like we always talk about, childhood trauma and how you were shaped as a human.
Nurture and nature.
Up to it.
I think it's a little bit of a security or insecurity thing. Like, if you're secure with yourself, like, why does it matter what another person thinks about? Like,
because we're pack animals. Mm-hmm. We have to fit in with the pack in a way to feel secure in our position, which is why men being so insecure to not be able to compliment other men is so strange to me. Like, aren't you like 100% sure of who you are? And if you are, then why not compliment that guy? Why do you care about what other people think if you know who you are, sort of thing?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
This has been dope.
Yeah.
We got a little bit longer. We'll talk a little bit longer and shit like that. But let's kind of delve more and let's pander more to the gay audience. Like we're doing. That's not what we're doing.
We're target here.
Yeah. What do you feel about? Here's my thing. This is speaking from the outside perspective. I think the whole pressure and all this shit about coming out is fucked up, and it's unnecessary pressure. I'm sure it's important to a select group of people, but I feel like the pressure to announce to the world that you have this certain preference in people because it's not the societal norm is a really stupid pressure. What do you feel about like the whole coming out thing? How was your experience, if you ever did, or did you just decide to one day just date whatever? Like, what is it? Because as an outsider, I think it's not important. As a member of the community, is it important?
It shouldn't. In an ideal world, like, because straight men don't announce to the world that they're straight. You're formed the way you are, and then you are who you are, and that's it. But as it comes to visibility, you kind of sometimes have to let people know who you are, and maybe it has to be an announcement. But my experience was that I came out at, I believe I was 22. I wanted to come out a little later when I wasn't living with like family who maybe didn't agree with the things I agreed with, but I had to, in that living arrangement, announce to them who I was before I was ready. And I don't know, and
why did you feel like that you had to?
The way it was going, they were like,
yeah, go ahead.
They were like, no, it's okay. They were like piecing things together and arriving at their own conclusions. And I was like, oh, I better put a stop to this before it gets
worse. Out in front of it.
Yeah, I better get in front of the thing before it gets in front of you. So I did that.
Try and make them more comfortable and understanding, I guess. Is that the goal?
and my dad is cool with it. Usually, it's the other way around where like you come out to parents and like maybe the mom is she's like the maternal instinct. She's more supportive and the father is like, disappointed. But in my case, it's kind of the other way around. My father had a cousin of his who was gay who like actually committed suicide because of being bullied so much. And he came from that understanding and that life experience of like, I love you who you are. And my dad's awesome. Shout out, Dad. Love you. So I don't think it always should have to be announcement. And the pressure on people to announce who they are, I think it's kind of fucked up because you're just not ready. You're like a turtle. Maybe you're not ready to come out of your shell yet. There shouldn't be a pressure, but I mean, the world isn't idealistic. It can't be the way we want.
Yeah.
Unless you are the change you want in the world.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no pressure. I mean, do you have any... Okay, so for some of our audience that might be listening, that might be like thinking about coming out or anything like that, do you have any tips, any advice from your personal experience?
Like listen to like friends and family, but when it comes down to it, you're living for yourself. You don't have to live or hide things because you don't want to be a disappointment to other people, because you're only going to you're on this planet for so little amount of time. So don't waste any of it not being who you are. Even if it seems difficult at the time, it's going to be easier in the long run. That's my advice, probably.
I like that. Just, I guess, be who you are.
Yeah, don't live for others. Live for you, because you are who matters at the end of the day.
And I'm sure that's even harder in the gay community, because like you were talking about, like, I mean, your value comes from your aesthetics. It doesn't really necessarily matter who you are as a person. If you have money, it's probably a benefit, but it kind of comes down. It seems like more of, depending on where you stand from outside looking in, it can be very superficial, like a very superficial community where you are valued as society, just like we value women, like the skinny model chicks, like get like the most attention and stuff like that. And they can go the furthest and stuff like that, just based off of their aesthetics alone. And it seems like there's a lot more pressure in the community.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you look and walk and talk a certain way, you're kind of expected to have a title too, on top of all that.
And like I said, age too. If you come out at a late age, like your 30s or 40s, it's almost like you've lost a lot of that quote unquote social currency in the community. They value youth, physical superiority, and this and that, from my experience. So if you come out at a later age, you're almost limited to like who you can socialize with, because some people will just take one look at you and make a judgment within 3 seconds of like, you're not for me. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm going to stick with my ring of people. You go and do your own thing. And it's shitty, honestly. But that is how it goes. It's, if you come out at an earlier age, it's maybe easier. But if you come out at a later age, there are married men who have like been married to women for like the first half of their lives, have children. They come to that realization and then they come out and things are just not easy for them. Yeah, and it makes them want to like even, makes them want to go back into the closet because it's like, man, why did I come out? I've waited so long.
I mean, as you get older, your choices and your surrounding people kind of get limited, more and more limited, even more than they were. Because, I mean, you're older, you're meeting less and less people, you're gay now, and I mean, you probably always have been, but also it's like you have less choices and then you have to go out and meet people, and it's like learning how to date all over again. That's got to be hard.
Yeah, and that's another thing in the gay community is we kind of miss out on the traditional dating experience at a young age because let's face it, like in middle school or high school, you want to date people, but maybe because of the way your family feels about something, you can't engage in what your peers are doing. So you have to do things kind of like in the shadows or hidden from everybody. You don't get to be out and about with friends happily. Open. You have to do things kind of discreetly. And it's a shame. And we're going to need to work on that a lot to get kids where they should be, not having to do things in the shadows and being okay with who they are at an early age. So they don't miss out on those important foundational steps in their life.
I like that. So that kind of ties into like another conversation where like how important do you think it is to kind of showcase, people look at it as pandering, but showcase, you know, different sorts of relationships, interracial relationships, gay relationships, all these things in social media and media in general. Because I heard that they made Buzz Lightyear gay recently.
I think it was. Can somebody confirm who has seen it? There is a brief gay kiss.
It was between two women, and that's all it was. And it was literally 3 seconds.
It's like a little peck. It's like a little.
And people got so upset about it.
Okay, so he didn't make Buzz gay because even if he was, he'd be extra cooler. But Buzz Lightyear was like one of my favorite fucking things as like a kid. Like, and the main reason was because like I remember watching Toy Story, and then I had the Toy Story video game, and I'd watch my dad play it. And then like there was like a end of the level where Buzz Lightyear would take off and had the fucking like action figure, and I'd push the wings and fly off.
I think I played that game before.
I've never played this game.
It was dope. It was dope. It was dope. And we kind of I mean, like, do you think that's important to show that? People say it's like, oh, pandering or forcing it on like everyone, but like kind of like what you said, if you know it's okay at a young age and you know it's cool, not necessarily cool because it's a whole nother topic of being gay is trendy and stuff like that. We talked about that in a whole nother podcast where I think it's fucking like, it's terrible, but also it's kind of, it's a double-edged sword. It's cool, but it's not cool. Do you think it's important to showcase that, yes, it happens, it's real, and it's okay?
It is. We need to not treat it like a phenomenon, though, because these people are all around us. Like, I'm like with y'all. So in the movie, I've seen a clip from it. It's like a brief little like chicken peck kiss, and then the movie just goes on. And it almost makes me think like they could easily edit that movie out to like make certain audiences happy in certain countries. I'm pretty sure
that's the reason that they did it like that. Because in some countries where it's banned, they just edit that completely out. And it's nothing. It doesn't add or remove anything from the story.
No. And the way it's shot, you could just cut that scene out completely and it's not definitive to any of the characters. We need to do like more. There's a lot of like shows, TV shows I think they're pushing boundaries and that's good. But I think we need to treat it less like a big deal, like phenomenon, and just have it be just a part of everyday life. Because it is, you know. It shouldn't, like you were saying, like coming out maybe always shouldn't be an announcement because, like, why? You know, we are who we are.
We are all people.
We are all people with different colors to share and offer to others.
Yeah.
You know,
I like this podcast. This is good.
This is fun.
It feels like in the time of all this hustle and bustle and doom and gloom, we kind of got a lot off our chest and a lot of understanding, because it's like, although these conversations are very simple to people that are in the community, there's always questions that people are afraid to ask. And I'm never like afraid to ask anything. I want to be respectful, but I've even asked you like questions and talked about how I've talked about people in the past. Like, where does even like the gay voice come from? And you were telling me that it kind of comes from the media you consume.
I like to think that some people's understanding of like a typical gay man, it's, you know, usually like flamboyant, very feminine, and
it's so wrong. I love it. Like, we sit here with you. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. We like some of the same shit. We like to be dressed well. We play video games together. We do nerdy shit. We like beer. We like to go out. We like to be artsy. We like to do all this shit.
We have good IPA every now and then.
Yeah, we'll sit down and like talk shit like, oh, we fucked this person up. Oh, good kill. Oh, whatever. We're doing nerd shit. And it's just like, people are people. You just happen to like different people than you like. And where's the problem with that? And I think that's kind of the general understanding of it. But, yeah, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
No, it's okay. So like you were saying, the representation of the like there's like the gay voice, the gay look, that kind of thing.
Right. And not everyone has it, but the people that do possess that, where does it come from?
I think it just comes from like you like want to fit in with what you're seeing, what's being presented to you in media,
societal pressures,
and like like the typical gay token character who's like the side friend who advises the friend,
usually on fashion choices and dating advice.
Yes,
I know some.
Nothing else. No talk of like movies or like golf or anything else. Yeah, it's always just these limited things, and I feel like that's the straight perspective of a gay man, and we need to have more gay men being in charge of media and like doing these things to show that there's not just one gay person. It's a whole spectrum of people. There are some who pass for straight who are as like gay as queer as a $3 bill, and then the other way around. You know, it takes all folks, and we're not all the same.
We're all people.
We're all people. That's what it comes down to. Like, can't we just shut up and be friends with each other, right?
I wish.
If everybody would just stay in their own, like, you know, own little track and do their thing.
In your own lane.
And yeah, I avoid using the word for that reason.
Well, this has been a good episode. You have any more thoughts or ideas to get off your chest before we call it for today? Anything on your mind weighing on you?
I talked a lot.
Closing statements?
I think just it's important to just be comfortable in your own skin. Yeah. Like, wear the clothes. Don't let the clothes wear you. Don't waste any time like not doing something that you want to do is what I'd say.
Yeah. I like the wear the clothes, don't the wear clothes wear you phrase. We're all in our hoochie daddies today. We're all in our short
Y'all look great. Y'all look amazing today.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
See, more complimenting other males is what we need to.
Cool. It's cool. Everything is cool. Everything is fine.
I'm a quote RuPaul before we end it. Can we?
Yes, please, for Pride Month.
If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
I don't have an amen, but I got a gunshot. I like that.
Amen. Gunshot.
If y'all see Mr. Alex, Mr. right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. What am I like? If you see Alex, folks, not for you, on the street, and he's got a camera in his hand, show him the camera.
This is the camera.
He will take amazing pictures of you and whoever you are, or whoever you're with. Talk to him. Maybe he'll have some things to talk to you about. Open for conversation. He seems like cool guy, cool nerd.
Good friend.
Yeah, good friend. I'm glad we did this. We talk a lot about getting the Discord up and running. Kyle's going to get on it soon with me, and we're going to get it started and running, and you're going to be in there.
Yeah, and Fall Guys is free to play. We need to hop on that.
Yeah.
That's a fun game.
Look for it very, very, very soon. Discord coming out. Access to that we'll figure out how we're going to get in that. But the idea is I'll be live streaming in there, camera on, microphone on, having discussions, maybe future topics, all this shit. I really need to put that in motion because I want to hear more from the people and I want to talk more to people. I want it to be inclusive. Anyway, Kyle, you have any last thoughts on today?
I think you wrapped it up nicely.
All right.
I wanted to talk about that, but
good
shit.
We had with us.
It's been Alex.
It's been me.
Kyle.
And I guess it's been Ann Lane. Thank y'all for tuning in. A round of applause for us. It's been a pleasure having this conversation. You really made me, in a full mode of transparency, made me get back into the idea of podcasting because I had this idea that I had to put out content every week and it was stressing me out.
You don't have to.
And I was conforming again to societal standards, just like we talked about. That's not a great thing.
Avoid that.
Yeah, it's art. It's art, and no matter how you look at it, it is art. It's creating content, and I want to create good content. I love y'all. I love everyone that loves everyone. I respect everyone who respects everyone.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Peace.